Welcome everybody, and welcome to another episode of Paddy and The Yank Goes Wild. We're here today with a beautiful specimen. This is the ancient Taiwanese stone lion. That's right, stone lion. You know why they call it the stone lion, Yank?
Because they get wild.
Because it doesn't bloody well move, it's made out of stone.
You guys gotta let me hang out with you. Do you want to play with me? I'm a leprechaun.
Welcome to episode 20 of the Paddy and The Yank podcast. Paddy, how the hell you doing?
Woke up this morning and I got myself a feel.
Oh, I don't know that song.
I feel good. I've been listening to The Doors a lot lately.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
that was the Jim Morrison intense voice.
Roadhouse
Blues?
Yeah.
Oh, that solo that you just played for me is fucking fire.
Oh, that was off a song called Ghost Song by The Doors.
Ghost Song.
There's such a groove in that song.
What's the Caravan song? Spanish Caravan. Oh, they got so many classics. So many really, really good tracks.
I hadn't listened to The Doors in a long time, and then I was like, right, it's time to start listening to The Doors again, and now I'm addicted again, so...
It might be time for me soon.
So, Yank, you just recently recovered from COVID. Yeah, you had COVID there last week, right? Or the week before?
What was it, 2 weeks ago? 2.5 weeks ago? I haven't seen you for 3 weeks, right?
Yep, 3 weeks.
Feels like a lifetime.
Yeah, I know. Blind Boy had COVID last week as well.
Really?
Yeah. He had it for a couple of days or something.
I would like to tell some listeners about that a little bit, though. So, Taiwan did a great job of keeping COVID out for the longest time, while America and several other countries just suffered and just everybody just got it, right? Mm-hmm. And so I kept saying, man, I'm so proud of Taiwan for doing such a good job of keeping COVID out.
Yeah.
But actually, by us keeping it out, all we did was delay the current situation where everybody's getting it.
Exactly.
I think it would have been better if we all just got it in the beginning instead of delaying this that's going on right now. Which basically, I don't know, I don't really want to exaggerate, but I would say well over 50-60% of Taipei has now had it within the past 2 months. Everybody, we live in I wanted to say this on the podcast, but I don't know how many people are in Taipei.
I think there's about 2 million people.
About 2 million people? Yeah. So that was 2 million people. It's everybody's had... I know because I was going to the pharmacy trying to get this one medicine.
Except old Paddy over here. He didn't get COVID.
He didn't. And he didn't get a vaccine.
I'm so mean, I make medicine sick.
Yeah. That was my thinking when I got COVID. My thinking was, excuse my French, but fuck you, bitch. You are going to regret having come into my body. And at first I was I had a sore throat. My buddy's like, did you fall asleep with the AC on? I was like, yes. He's like, oh, it's just that. And I'm like, oh, yeah. And then my girlfriend comes home 2 days later, ill, and takes a rapid test, and she's positive. And I'm like, no shit, this is COVID? Really? Yeah. Just feels like a sore throat. But I immediately went and took a cold shower. Then I did a headstand, and I was like, I'm going to work even harder than I normally work just to kick this thing out of my system. So I was boxing, I was running, I was doing breath work, meditation. I was like, I'm not going to let it slow down. If anything, I'm going to use it as motivation to speed up. I only had 2 days where I was sick, but my girlfriend got really ill. She couldn't speak. Her throat was filled with phlegm and sore.
I bet you were so happy.
She was so sore. I think
my girlfriend couldn't speak. Hey, can you give me some of that fucking COVID when we finish here today?
It did make our relationship better because no matter what happened, I was like, oh, mercy on the poor girl. Oh, mercy on the poor girl. But now that we're both better, I don't have any reason to have mercy anymore.
Mercy, please.
Mercy's gone.
Mercy.
But yeah, COVID was nothing but a walk in the park. I was like, really, if this is all it was, did I really need 3 vaccines? Seems a bit excessive. I feel like I got scammed.
We're on opposing sides here. You've got a red mic. I've got a blue mic. You got 3 vaccinations. I got 0 vaccinations.
Oh, you're the liberal. I'm the Republican.
Yeah, so before we get into today's podcast, as everybody knows that's been listening now for a while, at the end of the show, we like to play a piece of original music from various different artists that send us in their stuff. So today's music is
by an Irish female artist who's currently playing shows around Europe, I believe, and her name is Nymph. And her song today is 10 minutes long. It's a 10-minute composition, and it's very fitting for this episode, because this episode is about mythical creatures today.
Mythical creatures.
Mythical creatures.
That's our topic.
So stick around at the end for her song, her tune, and let's get into it. Well, the reason we all wanted to do this episode of Mythical Creatures is because you kept fucking hounding me about leprechauns. You were asking me, like, tell me about leprechauns. Tell me something about leprechauns.
It started with fairies, because what podcast was it where you were telling me about the fairy mounds?
The fairy forts.
Oh, the superstitions, right?
Exactly.
Fairy forts. And I'm like, man, yeah, I am. I'm like super interested in the history of leprechauns, fairies, Celts, Druids, all that like traditional Irish culture.
When you've been saying this to me, I didn't think that much of it. I was like, all right, whatever. It's just, you just want to know about leprechauns. But then it made me think back to when I used to live in Canada and in different countries. And when we'd have a few drinks flowing, people would genuinely ask me, like, so what's the story with leprechauns? I'm like, what do you mean, what's the story with leprechauns? They're like, well, are they real or what? Because the people don't know. Like, people in America genuinely believe that there's leprechauns running around the Irish countryside. Like, you know.
I don't think we do.
There's Americans that come to Ireland to go leprechaun hunting. There's companies in Ireland that set up tours and trips and take people on leprechaun hunts to try and find leprechauns.
This is true.
This is true. Yes. Now, I know some people probably do it in fun and in good-hearted, but there's genuinely people that believe that leprechauns exist. Now, when I was growing up and I was younger, my grandfather and my uncles, they also swore and told us that leprechauns are real. Two of my uncles had a story where they seen a leprechaun as kids, and they told my grandfather, and my mother would still tell us the story to this day. She's like, she fully believes that they seen a leprechaun. I'm like, Mom, leprechauns don't exist, or they didn't exist. Like, they're a myth. And so I've done a bit of research into.
If your grandfather had seen a leprechaun, did he tell you how big it was?
He didn't see it. My uncle's supposedly seen it.
So your uncle tell you how big it was?
They said he was tiny. Like, he was probably, I'd say, less than a foot tall.
Paddy's making about a foot.
Yeah.
A foot with his hands.
So they said he was less than a foot tall. And
less than a foot tall.
He had an orange beard, like your stereotypical leprechaun. But when I started doing research into leprechauns, they first emerged around the 8th century, right? And they're not just distinctly Irish. They're not solely associated with Ireland. Leprechauns are associated with many different countries in Europe. Holland, I think Germany, all different places. And in Ireland, originally leprechauns didn't wear green. So when people think of a leprechaun, they think of a little green man, right? Mm-hmm. With a little green hat, a ginger beard, whereas leprechauns originally supposedly wore red. They wore red coats, and in different parts of Ireland, they would have dressed differently, slightly different. For anybody out there that's listening that doesn't know anything about a leprechaun or what a leprechaun is or what a leprechaun's supposed to look like, a leprechaun is a diminutive supernatural being in Irish folklore. But again, like I said, it's not strictly Irish. And it's classed as mainly the writer W.B. Yeats, as being a solitary fairy. So a
solitary male fairy?
Yes, because there's no female leprechauns.
Interesting.
Yeah, so they don't. So how do they procreate? How do leprechauns reproduce? And supposedly leprechauns were the children or the offspring of evil fairies, because leprechauns are considered to be tricksters. Legend has it that if you caught a leprechaun, they're very crafty and they like to play practical jokes.
I'm loving this. Leprechauns are the offspring of evil fairies.
According to some folklore, yes.
But who impregnates the evil fairy?
Hey, I don't know.
Okay. This plays into what I'm going to talk about later today.
Who impregnated fucking Mary?
Yeah.
God.
So, just playing along as if this is all true.
Yeah.
Leprechauns are the offspring of evil fairies.
Yeah, supposedly.
And they're crafty tricksters.
Yeah, like the unwanted children. Yeah, and they're crafty tricksters. So it's.
I think in America we generally view leprechauns as a good thing, but that might be because of Lucky Charms, the cereal.
Yeah, I mean, well, now today it's like it's commercialized and modernized, and like I said, you see a leprechaun today, it's depicted as being small with the green outfit on, and back in the day it was supposedly red. But a common myth or a common story about leprechauns was that if you caught a leprechaun, if you managed to capture a leprechaun, he would have to grant you 3 wishes.
Like a genie.
Like a genie. So the earliest known reference to the leprechaun appears in the medieval tale known as Ectra Fergus Macleti. I think that's Gaelic. That's my attempt at Gaelic. And what it translates to is the adventure of Fergus, son of Letty. And in this text it talks about Fergus Macleti, who was the king of Ulster. Ulster is the north of Ireland. And he falls asleep on a beach. And when he wakes up, he's being dragged into the ocean by 3 Luch Horpán, which I guess is the Gaelic for leprechaun.
Luchardpon.
Luchardpon. Again,
A
my
Luchardpon.
Irish is my Gaelic is terrible.
I thought that was a combination of 3 English words.
And he captured his abductors, so he managed to capture the leprechauns, and they granted him 3 wishes in exchange for his release. And this is a common thing. Like, even when we were as kids, it was like we were told, if you catch a leprechaun, you know what I mean, keep him in a black sack or something like that, and he'll grant you 3 wishes or whatever like that. But he's a trickster, so you have to be careful. He'll try and trick you out of your 3 wishes. And yeah, so the leprechaun is supposed to be a solitary creature, and their principal occupation is shoemaking. So they're little shoemakers, and they like doing practical jokes. They're supposed
like Santa Claus's elves. Santa Claus, I don't know why. Is that right? Aren't Santa Claus's elves shoemakers? Are they related to
Santa Claus's elves are toy makers.
Why do I think they're shoemakers?
They make all the toys for all the kids and the children, don't they?
Okay, maybe I'm thinking about I think there's some sort of old Christmas story that talks about shoemakers. I think there's like a fable or something like that.
Really?
Yeah, there's a fable about shoemakers.
When I think about leprechauns, one of the first things I think about is a movie. All right, and probably the most famous movie about leprechauns was a movie from 1959, and it was a Walt Disney movie called Darby O'Gill and the Little People. Now, if there's anybody out there listening from Ireland, you've got to have seen this movie. And the main role was played by Sean Connery, who later went on to play James Bond.
This is 1956?
1959.
Okay, I'm really sorry. The reason I reacted so strongly is because I thought you were going to bring up the scary movie, and no movie has ever terrified me quite as bad as the Leprechaun movies.
Oh, the horror movies.
Dude, that shit freaked me out bad. Like 1 and 2 or 1 and 2.
Really?
Yeah.
That was a creepy little leprechaun, that movie.
Dude, I was at my dad's house, and there was like a hallway to get to the bathroom, and the hallway was lined with these little doors for the cabinets. And I remember like, fuck, I don't know if I can make it to that bathroom without a leprechaun jumping out of one of these cabinet doors and taking me. I was so scared, man. Oh.
That's hilarious. I didn't see the Leprechaun movies when I was younger. I watched them when I was a bit older. So
really?
So my idea of a leprechaun when I was younger was, I want to try and catch this fucking guy. He's going to give me 3 wishes.
Uh-huh.
You know what I mean?
But I never heard that until now.
Yeah. So in that movie, Darby O'Gill and the Little People, Sean Connery played the main role. And what happened was, he went to live on this farm, right? And there was an old man living on the farm. I think his name was Darby O'Gill. And he managed to catch this leprechaun called King Brian, I think it was, at that. And King Brian brought Darby O'Gill or whoever it was into the lair of the leprechauns. It's a great movie. I think it's a fucking great movie. They feature the banshee in it, which is another Irish mythical being that if you hear the wail of the banshee, it means somebody's going to die. That's also featured in the movie. So I think it's a great movie. Legend has it that Sean Connery actually got the role of James Bond because of his performance in Darby O'Gill and the Little People.
Huh.
How crazy is that?
Yeah, pretty crazy.
Yeah. So there you go. So that's it. So that's a little bit on leprechauns. No female leprechauns.
So check this out. I'm gonna kind of build. There is a movie. I was right. The Elves and the Shoemaker. It's a Christmas tale by the Brothers Grimm. So actually, it's a book story, but I think it was also turned into a movie. It was written in 1806 by the Brothers Grimm. It was the first and longest story in a series of 3 fairy tales entitled The Elves.
But a leprechaun is not an elf. A leprechaun is a fairy, or a type of fairy.
That's crazy. Once again, I've never heard that before. This short tale follows a failing shoemaker at Christmas time who one morning awakes to discover a perfect pair of shoes already made sitting at his work table. Each morning, the same mysterious occurrence takes place, helping him make his fortune. I taught this at school before.
I remember this story from being in school. I remember this story.
I've taught this story. God, do you remember how it goes?
Yeah, the little elf went on, raped his wife, murdered his children,
and there's our nursery rhyme.
And stole all the guy's earnings from selling his little elf shoes.
Don't do it.
You know, in Dublin they have a national leprechaun museum.
Really?
Yeah, with all different like little leprechaun shoes and stuff like that. When we were growing
shaking my head.
When we were growing up as well, when we were younger, I used to hang around with this guy and his brother. They lived out in the countryside, and you'd be walking through all these big fields, like going to little rivers and streams, catching little fish with nets and all that kind of shit when you're younger. And they used to always tell us a story about the older brother, how he heard the violin being played one day in the middle of the field. He was in the middle of nowhere, and there was just like horse chestnut trees everywhere, and he heard the violin being played. He was looking around and he kept hearing it and hearing it and hearing it, and they thought it was a leprechaun. He ran home and he was terrified, and they always used to tell that story as well. You know, like, yeah, I'm telling you, he heard the violin being played by the leprechaun, you know, or the hammering of shoes. That's the thing. If you're out in the middle of the woods or the big fields there in Ireland, you heard a cobbler's hammer hitting a shoe, it was the leprechauns at work.
Really?
That's what they say. That's what they
crazy.
say. Yeah. And supposedly the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow is all the, let's say, the buried treasure that the leprechauns have uncovered from all the different wars and all the different people that have lived throughout Ireland,
Whoa.
which is pretty interesting.
Crazy.
So those sons of bitches better not have taken all that metal detecting treasure I'm looking for. All right, that's a little bit on leprechauns. There you go.
Cool.
What you got for me, Yank?
So we're gonna start with this. I have 5 mythical creatures. I'm gonna tell you their name and only their name, and I want to see if you can guess where they're from.
Brilliant.
You should be able to. I think you should be able to.
All right, go for it.
All right. The first one, Jenny Greenteeth.
England.
Yes. Well, is there a difference between England and Great Britain?
Nah, it's the same fucking thing.
Okay. She's a witch in English folk tales. She lives in rivers and lakes, hides in muddy water, and likes to eat none other than...
Children.
Yeah.
Really?
Yep.
Jenny Greenteeth.
Yep, Jenny Greenteeth. Pale green skin, dark hair, long bony fingers, and pointed green teeth. At first, she just looks like a clump of dark weeds floating in the water, but then you will see her evil yellow eyes looking at you from under the water.
That's creepy.
Yeah, if you are not careful, she will drift closer to you.
That's creepy. I'm getting an image in my head right now
If
of
she
Jenny
can get
Greenteeth.
close enough, her long, lanky arms will shoot out of the water and grab you. You will not have time to call for help. She will drag you under the water and devour you.
That's scary. That's
this
creepy.
is from a kid's book. I'm reading from a
That's
kid's
great.
book.
Fuck Jenny Greenteeth. Fuck Michael Myers and Jason Voorhees. I don't want Jenny Greenteeth coming from me.
It says, historically speaking, people may have created the story to keep their children away from getting in the rivers.
Good idea.
Right?
Smart.
Yeah.
Them folks back then, they were smart.
Yeah, absolutely. All right.
Jenny Greenteeth.
Wendigo.
The Wendigo. I've heard of this before. The Wendigo is either
Wendigo.
The Wendigo- the Wendigo is-
Wendigo.
the Wendigo's either like in the Americas somewhere or it's Australian. In
Americas.
the
Americas.
Okay.
It's a Native American folktale.
I heard this before. Go.
It's a cannibal. Lurks in the shadows of the forest. It attacks and eats anyone unlucky enough to meet it. A Wendigo usually hunts hunters and travelers in the forest at night and prefers to hunt during the frigid winter months. It has the head of a deer, has glowing red eyes, long yellow fangs, and a very long tongue. I tried to do more research on this to make it more juicy for today, but
I think
none of
they
it
might
was
have made a
that
movie recently.
they've made a
Antler.
few movies.
I went to the cinema
Yeah.
here. Yeah, okay,
I watched
that's where
that too.
I fucking heard
I
it.
watched that too.
That's it. The movie called Antler. They had the Wendigo, and that's what the killer was. I mean, it's kind of
Yeah.
it's like what, a deer that can go around fucking killing you. That fang-toothed Jenny or green-toothed. Yeah, that's exactly it. The Wendigo.
Yeah.
That green-toothed Jenny sounds more scary than the Wendigo. The
and-
Wendigo's got a cooler name, but
Yeah.
green
It
fang
was once
Jenny.
a human, but was transformed into a monster a long time ago because it ate human flesh. It can still transform into a human to trap its victims.
That was the same in the movie. So if
Yeah.
anybody wants to find out about the Wendigo, watch
If I
the movie
remember
Antler.
correctly, that was pretty good.
Wasn't a bad movie.
Yeah.
Wasn't bad. There's some creepy shit in that movie. All right, the Wendigo.
In 1907, a man named Jack Fiddler was sent to prison because he killed a woman he said was turning into a Wendigo.
What?
There's actually a form of psychosis in the DSM called Wendigo psychosis, where you have the desire to eat human flesh.
What the hell?
Yeah.
What was his name? Jack Fiddler?
Jack Fiddler.
Jack Kitty Fiddler. He just accused her because she was fucking found out that he was kitty fiddling. Jack Fiddler. And then he pointed the finger at her and got her fucking killed as a
Pretty
Wendigo.
good excuse. She's a witch.
Witch!
She was a witch.
Witch!
All right, next one. Tongu.
Okay, this sounds Japanese. This sounds Asian.
Good job.
Spell it.
Japan. Tengu.
Tengu.
That would be how you would say it, I think.
Tengu.
Well, in Japanese, they don't have N's.
Tengu.
Everything's A-E-A-O-U.
Tengu.
Ka-ke-ku-ki-ko. Yeah.
Tengu.
Everything's open
All right.
vowels. Okay.
So what are you going to call it? Tengu.
Tango. We're going to call it tango for now. They are
So
the
American, we're going to call it tango. We're going to call it tango.
tango.
Tango, that's
I mean,
better,
I
yeah.
could say it like in a Chinese way. Tango.
Say it like that. Sounds Japanese too.
They are the ghosts of vain or arrogant people who are not evil enough to go to hell, but not virtuous enough to go to heaven. They are made to wander the earth forever.
So the Tengu are like ghosts.
Yeah, they can be dangerous, but they can also protect people. Said they live deep in the forest. They're half human, half bird.
Half human, half bird.
Often when they're seen with the feet of a bird and a long beak for a nose. And they can, sometimes they are said to have the power to grow and shrink other people's noses.
Like fucking Pinocchio.
Can you imagine that? Like he's like sitting in a tree and he starts pointing at Paddy and he's like, I'm going to make his nose get bigger just to fuck with him.
It's kind of a shit superpower, isn't it? Like,
That would be fun though. I would fuck with people all the time, dude. I'd make somebody's nose like disappear just to see how the boyfriend reacts.
fuck. Or like if you're watching a situation happen where somebody's asking like, did you really take that cookie from the jar, Tommy? And it's like, no, and then you just make his nose grow and she's like, he's got Pinocchio syndrome. He did.
Okay,
Alright,
cool. So
cool.
that's the Tongue
The Tongyu from Japan.
I only got one more. Manticore.
Manticore. I'd say the Manticore is also American.
Iran.
Fuck.
I ran a long way. I
ran so far away.
All right. It looks like a man standing behind a large lion. Actually, it's got the tail of a scorpion and like the body of a lion.
What's it called again?
A manticore.
A manticore.
It's crazy. It's from a Persian legend. They have the body of a lion, the head of a human, and the tail of a scorpion.
That's a pretty fucked
Sounds
up
like
sounding.
a Greek mythological creature,
Yeah.
kind of.
Yeah.
It uses its human head to confuse people into thinking it's harmless. And then when the person gets close, it
Boom!
pounces.
Stings them with that fucking scorpion stinger
Has
tail.
3 rows of razor-sharp teeth that it uses to devour its victims whole. It won't even leave a scrap of clothes behind.
Okay, that's up there on the scariest one so far.
Oh, it roams the forests of India. A long time ago, a Persian king is said to have had a manticore in his own royal zoo. Well, that's pretty sweet. Oh, that's like 300, right? That was in Persia? It prefers the taste of human flesh over animals.
That's
So if you do encounter one of these on your way to school, hide quickly before it sees your delicious arms and legs. You will not be able to run.
that's the scariest one so far, the manticore.
It looks pretty scary.
Fuck, I'm cool with most animals and wildlife stuff like that. There's a couple of ones like I've had tarantulas crawl up my arm. I've had snakes, caimans, all kinds of animals. But I had a scorpion one day in my hand and I didn't like it at all. I did not like fucking holding the scorpion. Scorpions are creepy little
Really?
things. That little tail, at the top of them, I don't like it. Yeah. The rule of thumb with scorpions too supposedly is if a scorpion has big claws and a small stinger, its primary weapon is its claws and it won't be as venomous. Its sting won't be as venomous. If a scorpion has small claws and a big stinger, then that bitch is packed with venom. Rule of thumb for anybody that's out there walking around them scorpions.
All right, the mengwa.
The mangua.
The mengwa. Where's it from?
New Zealand.
Nope. I might be saying it wrong. M-N-G-W-A.
Africa somewhere.
Yes.
Ah, nice.
Do you want to take it further?
Nigeria.
No.
No idea.
Tanzania.
Tanzania. So tell us about the mangua.
It means strange one in Swahili. The mengwa is about the size of a donkey. It is stronger than a lion and deadlier than a leopard. It has dark gray fur with black stripes and looks a lot like a house cat. Razor-sharp teeth and claws and can kill a person with one bite. It is completely silent and only hunts humans. It sounds like all these only hunt humans.
The fact that this one can kill you with one bite is not so bad. Like the other one you talked about with the fucking scorpion stinger, like that one like eats you alive and stings you with its stinger and stuff.
Yeah.
So that one's still pretty.
The last one, I think you should just tell me. Banshees.
Okay, so the banshee is a mythical Irish creature.
Yeah.
I don't know if she's like supposed to be a ghost or what, but again, we would have heard about this as kids growing up. Like we would go to school on a Monday and it's like, oh, did you hear fucking Shawnee O'Toole heard the banshee last night? Really? What? No way, oh no way. And then his grandmother died. You know what I mean? It's like that's what the banshee was. It's like
an omen.
a premonition or an omen of death.
Premonition.
Somebody in your family or somebody you knew was going to die if you heard the wail of the banshee.
That's pretty much what it says here.
Yeah. That's what it says.
In the middle of the night, everything is calm and peaceful. All of a sudden, from outside your window, you hear a piercing wail, as if something has been killed. You jump up and rush to the window to see what's wrong. But if you live in Ireland, you already know what's wrong, and going to the window will not help. What you heard is probably a banshee, and your troubles are just beginning. Banshees are strange ghosts that usually appear as ugly old women. though they sometimes appear as beautiful young women. Yeah. They are not known to attack or injure. They're messengers. That's what you just said. They deliver messages from the realm of the dead to the realm of the living, but their messages are never good news.
The Banshee, the Wail of the Banshee. If you watch that movie, Darby O'Gill and the Little People, they feature the Banshee in that movie as well pretty prominently. So,
Which movie? The Little People.
Darby O'Gill and the Little People.
Okay, cool. Our last couple. This one is Incubus.
Incubus?
Incubus.
Incubus
That's
name
right.
of a band.
Incubus, like the band. You never thought about where did Incubus get their name from, right? Or what
Okay.
does the word incubus mean?
All right.
Incubus is a male demon who lies upon sleeping women to engage in sexual activity. Its female counterpart is called a succubus. Oh, yeah. It gets even better.
What does the female succubus do?
We'll get there. Some traditions believe, for all you guys concerned with health,
Yeah.
pay attention now. Some traditions believe that repeated sexual activity with an incubus or succubus may result in the deterioration of health, an impaired mental state, or even death. So don't do this often.
Where does a succubus and an incubus come from?
The first time they were mentioned was around 2400 BC in Mesopotamia.
Oh, that's a long fucking time ago.
Yeah, in the story of Gilgamesh, Gilgamesh's father. I don't even really know who Gilgamesh is, nor do I know the story of Gilgamesh. Might be something we could do in the future.
Okay.
Messing me up.
Isn't Mesopotamia? I can't Mesopotamia. Say that word again.
Mesopotamia. Now you got me fucked up.
Isn't Mesopotamia? How the fuck do you say that word? How do you say that word?
Mesopotamia. But now I feel. I'm like, is there a potato in here?
Say it again. Say the word.
Mesopotamia.
Mesopotamia. Okay, right? I went to an exhibition before on Mesopotamia.
That's probably cool. They're like the oldest civilization in the world,
That's
right?
exactly what I was just about to say. Before, until I got stuck at trying to say the word Mesopotamia.
That was good. That was the best it's been said yet.
So it's one of the oldest civilizations in the world. Yeah, I
I'm
went to
pretty
a
sure.
big exhibition on that before.
Because I had like a world history class. I'm pretty sure like most history starts. Like, isn't that kind of where they
Middle Eastern.
believe the Garden of Eden is?
Really?
I don't know. I'm making a pretty strong assumption there.
So the succubus and the incubus,
let me go on.
they originate from
The first time they were mentioned
That's a
was
long
from like
time
the story
ago.
of Gilgamesh. Okay, so the word incubus is derived from two Latin roots. The first one means nightmare, and the second one means to lie on, like to lay on. So Gilgamesh's father's name was Lilu. He used to disturb and seduce women in their sleep, while Lilitu, the female counterpart, would appear to men in their erotic dreams. And so apparently, like, Gilgamesh's father was the first incubus.
Huh.
Which just
And his
sounds like
name
a
was-
scumbag,
His
really.
name was what? Lilu?
Yeah, it's like Lilu, Lilu.
Lilu was Lala.
And so incubus and succubus are essentially the same thing, only incubus is male and succubus is female.
Oh, okay.
So it kind of reminded me, like earlier when you talk about leprechauns and fairies, how leprechauns are all boys and fairies are all girls. Kind of made me think about this incubus succubus thing.
I see the
Okay, so
correlation.
incubus were thought to be demons who had sexual relations with women, sometimes producing a child by the woman. Succubuses were demons that had intercourse with men. All right. King James wrote a dissertation titled Demonology. Demonology. Okay, this is one letter, A-E. When A-E becomes one letter that's a combination of A-E, how do you say that? This shit's so old, they use different letters, man.
What?
Demonology.
Demigorgon from
Jesus.
Stranger Things. This reminds me of
That's
Stranger
awesome.
Things. This reminds me of Stranger Things, actually. This kind of episode right now.
Yeah. Okay, so this is dope. King James suggested that there are two methods a devil can impregnate a woman. This devil being an incubus.
Yeah.
The first, it steals the sperm out of a dead man and delivers it into a woman. If a demon can extract the semen quickly, the transportation of the substance could not be instantly transported to a female host, causing it to go cold. All right, so when the demon takes the semen, it has to transport it quickly before it goes cold. I think that's it.
Before it goes bad, yeah?
Yeah.
A fresh corpse.
Yeah. So a long time ago, if nuns got pregnant,
Nuns getting pregnant.
but if they got pregnant, they would be burned like at the stake because it was assumed they had been
Impregnated by an incubus.
yes. Yeah.
Damn.
Okay, so the second method of impregnation.
Mary, you're starting to look a little bit on the plump side. No, I swear I've just been packing on the
She'd
pounds.
probably just give herself a coat hanger abortion, right? Anything, just don't burn me at the stake. All right, so the second way for a demon to impregnate a woman is, okay, a dead body could be possessed by a devil, causing it to rise out of the ground and go have sexual relations with others. Can you imagine getting fucked by a dead body? The smell?
That's mental.
Oh my God.
It's not the fact that it's just a dead body. It's also a demon
That's
dead
like
body.
like imagine, all right, we're sleeping and you just hear the door open and then you're like dragging and we've seen that shit in movies before. It makes me think of Pet Cemetery.
Creaky door creaking
and it's
open.
like slowly sliding. You're like, hello? Hello? And all of a sudden this like dirty thing comes on top of you.
Would that dead body that's possessed by that demon be considered to be a zombie?
Sounds kind of like it, right?
Although it doesn't want to eat flesh, it just wants to impregnate women.
How cool! How cool is that? I mean, this demon sounds like it has superpowers. Like, if it wants, it can just go take the sperm out of a dead man and then put it into a woman while she's sleeping. Or if the demon wants, he can go and just possess a dead body in the ground and then rise out of the ground and then go start sleeping with girls. Like,
He obviously gets no pleasure out
there's
of
like
it.
some crazy superpowers
Because he would choose to take possession of the dead body all day.
as
You're
opposed to
actually-
just taking the sperm
Of
out of a
course.
dead body.
Of course.
They could both be
I know
cool,
which
though.
one I would choose.
But a lot of people attribute incubuses and succubuses just to having really vivid dreams.
Really?
Yeah, but it still doesn't explain how people get pregnant. All right, so there's more. I'm not done yet.
This is pretty demented.
All right, so this is pretty interesting. So the succubus is the female counterpart. This is what would happen. A succubus would sleep with a man and take his sperm. After using dark power to corrupt and strengthen the sperm to guarantee impregnation, the succubus then transforms into an incubus and uses it to impregnate a woman.
This is mental.
I know. And then
Okay, this is probably one of the scarier ones now. But when they impregnate the woman, what? The woman gives birth to
so
what?
The succubus fucks the man in his sleep.
Yep, takes his sperm.
Takes his sperm, then changes into an incubus so he can go sleep with a girl and make her pregnant, and then the offspring is said to be supernatural.
That's mental.
It's super mental. Why is there not a movie about like
Fuck.
Incubus?
People had some imaginations again, like I say back then.
This
like,
could be like kind of like Patrick Swayze's Ghost
Man,
with Demi Moore.
without the music and the fucking the clay pot making or whatever it is like that. But hey, imagine too, like back then, how terrified you would be by these things and these stories. You know what I mean? Like,
Dude, when I was a child, I was terrified of Bloody Mary, Candyman, and Leprechaun.
Candyman.
Terrified.
I was scared of Candyman,
I still
yeah.
won't say Candyman. I won't do it. I watched a new one with my
it's
girl.
like imagine you're living in Mesopotamia, Mesopotamia, 2.5 whatever many years ago, and like people are telling you this story, like, oh, little Ahmed, you better not scorn your mother or your brother, because if you do, the incubus will come for you tonight.
Yeah. Okay, I got a little bit more.
I'd be terrified.
I got a little bit more. So it's said that you can generally identify an incubus because it has an unnaturally large or cold penis. Some tales claim that the incubus is bisexual. Others indicate that it is strictly heterosexual.
Imagine the woman going to you. She's like, "Hang on 1 second, Joseph. I just I have to check something first." And she's like, "Put your hands down her pants. It's warm. We are good to. we are okay to proceed."
Okay.
This is completely fucked up.
So if the incubus knocks up a girl and the girl has the baby, the half-human offspring can be called a cambion.
This is what I was curious of. What is the motive of the incubus for impregnating the woman? What's
You would think reproduction, right?
why? He wants to breed an army of little
Maybe.
supernatural beings?
Why did God program us to procreate?
Hey, Yank, I don't want to burst your bubble. There ain't no such thing.
All right.
There ain't no such thing as Santa Claus.
I know. All right, moving on. The Trauco, according to the traditional mythology of Chile, is a hideous, deformed dwarf who lulls young women and seduces them. This is like other countries have their own versions of the incubus. Another version is in Ecuador that's called Tintin, and it's a dwarf who is fond of abundantly haired women.
So he likes hairy women.
He likes hairy women, and he seduces them at night by playing guitar outside their windows. You said leprechauns play piano?
No, the violin or
The
something.
violin or something.
The fiddle or something.
Last one. In Hungary, there's something called a liturk, and it's a satanic lover that flies at night and appears as a fiery light, or in its more benign form as a featherless chicken.
A featherless chicken.
Featherless chicken.
I'm not so scared of that. A featherless chicken,
I
but
thought
I'm
it
just
was
like,
hilarious.
get the fuck out of here.
This is too funny not to write down. It's a satanic lover that appears as a fiery light or a featherless chicken. Like, what? How can you be a fiery light in the sky or a featherless chicken?
A featherless chicken.
It's not
Speaking
scary at
of
all.
featherless chickens.
Oh my. Oh my. So yeah, that's what I got about Incubus, Succubus, and that's crazy, right? The succubus will go take the sperm, turn into an incubus, and then impregnate a woman, and then the child, the offspring, will be called a cambion. Cambion or cambion?
Like, do we have, like, okay, let's say a lot of these things that we're talking about right now are myths that would have appeared and would have been conjured up many, many, many years ago. Are we in the process of doing anything like that right now where future generations will look back and say they believed in, like, I don't know, Bigfoot or the Loch Ness Monster? Like, are the Loch Ness Monster and Bigfoot, would you put them in the same category as a leprechaun, as a...
This book that I have right here, the Loch Ness Monster is in there, and so is zombie, vampire, and last night, Bigfoot kept coming up, and I was like, man, these are boring. Everybody's talked about them a million times. Like, nobody gives a fuck. And there's so much shit about, some dude actually put on a Bigfoot suit and took pictures just to get rich and famous.
Are they the modern...
Are they
the modern day mythical creatures that we have created? Are they the most modern day mythical creatures that we've created as humans? Like, because you're talking about everything you've just talked about dates back hundreds of years ago, thousands of years ago, and we look back on them now, and we're looking back on them going, these people were mental. Like, they believed in the incubus and the succubus, and you know what I mean? That's just all madness, and the leprechauns and the fairies. But are we creating anything right now as humans that people will look back on in years and go, oh man, these guys believe in these crazy mythical creatures called whatever they are? Or do we have so much access to information now through technology like the internet and stuff that we just don't believe in these kinds of things anymore?
Why do we have mythical creatures?
Good question.
I'm asking you.
I said good
Answer
question.
the damn question.
You can't handle the truth.
Like, let's go back to Jenny Greenteeth for a second.
I loved Jenny Greenteeth. Was one of my favorite mythical
creatures. We'll put a picture of on IG.
Yeah, for sure.
But parents created Jenny Greenteeth to keep kids from going into the river. Yeah. Right? So it almost feels like just like the Bible or God.
I absolutely would not have went near the river had I thought Jenny fucking Greenteeth was near the river.
Dude, that's scary.
Jenny Greenteeth was a scary one.
I'm imagining this is a long time ago, right?
Yeah.
So me and my mom and dad would live in a cabin in the woods, and there's a river out there, and it's nighttime, and I'm thinking about going out to the river, but then I'm like, no, Jenny Greenteeth might be out there. That's terrifying.
Like her floating underneath the surface of the water with her yellow
Super
eyes,
scary.
like a crocodile.
Super scary. Don't listen to this before you go to bed,
Man,
guys.
Jenny Greenteeth is a creepy one.
But is a mythical creature, especially a scary one, is it a representation of something from our mind?
I don't know. I'm just curious as to know, are we creating mythical creatures today? Like
God.
A dragon is a mythical creature. There you go.
Like,
they're mythical.
Hold on.
They're mythical beings.
Sorry, Ma, but why did we create God? There was too much fear of death. We needed to find. I mean, I'm making an assumption here.
Okay.
But we were too scared. People were too scared of death. And so they needed to find a way to make people calm down and relax. And they said, hey, there's this thing called God. And if you what a great way to put order, right? If you guys are
control.
If you guys are good and you do what I tell you to do and you don't break these 10 commandments, you're going to go to this awesome place and you die. And everybody's like, really? And he's like, yeah. And they're like, all right, let's do it. Right? So people were too scared. So we create these things like God and the Wendigo.
It's to give me religion and stuff that was to give people some sort of meaning in life.
Take away the fear. This mythical creatures to add the fear. God is to take away the fear.
The reason as well, that we've created stuff like gods and things like that is that we as a species, as creatures, as beings, whatever you want to call us, we think that we're superior to animals. We think that we are something different. But at the end of the day, look at the fucking life cycle and look at how an animal lives. We're fucking exactly the same, except we just have like some kind of consciousness and we think that we're important. We're not fucking important. Anyone that's listening out there, human beings, we're not fucking important. You know what we are? We're a fucking scourge on the planet is what we are. I asked somebody the last day, I was getting bit by mosquitoes here the last day, I was outside training people, and I was like, you know, if you took mosquitoes completely out of the ecosystem, I don't think it would affect the way nature works. I don't think they bring anything to it. You know, it's like there's certain things like bees. We need bees. We need a lot of things. They work together in unison to keep the planet going. If you took humans off the planet in the morning time, would the planet be a better place or would it be a worse place?
We don't matter.
We don't bring anything to the planet. We don't do anything for the planet.
Right. We're a cancer. We're a disease.
What do we do to make the Earth a better place?
Well, some people do good things, right?
They're just reversing stuff that prior humans have done to destroy the planet.
Right. Like, I think of Cameron Haynes and like the other hunters that have been on Joe Rogan's podcast. I feel like they're doing good things. They're doing good things for themselves.
As a whole,
and they're doing
Yank as a species as a whole.
I know.
Okay?
I'm sorry for...
We won't go around anyways, but that's my interpretation of it, is that we think we're too important. As humans, we think we've all got a meaning and we want to find the meaning of life.
I think,
the meaning of life. The fucking meaning of life.
I think parents and authority figures create mythical creatures to humble people. Because it's very easy for humans to become cocky, narcissistic, and arrogant. And so as a way to keep a child, perhaps a teenager, from getting too cocky, they say, hey, there's this demon out there, or there are bad guys out there, or there's Candyman out there, to kind of like add a little bit of fear so that there's there's humility to balance the conceitedness, the narcissism. Like, we need to fear something. But at the same time, I don't need anything to fear. I have enough things to fear, and they're all in my head. You know, my head has more than enough stuff to fear.
Well, you know what?
Let's tie it up.
Let's tie it up on that. Thanks everybody for listening.
If there are any succubuses out there, you're more than welcome to stop by tonight.
I think I've known a few succubuses in my time. If you like the podcast and you like what we're doing, please follow us on Instagram, Paddy and The Yank _podcast. We have a YouTube channel now as well, which we're putting up videos all the time.
Blowing up, man.
Yeah.
The YouTube's fire. Oh my God, I can't get enough.
We're on a big shout out to our guy who's running the
I want to meet him. I want
YouTube
to talk
channel.
to him.
Well, he's
Thank
currently
you.
in England.
What's his name?
AD.
AD.
We'll just call him AD for now.
Thank
Big
you,
shout
AD.
out. Cheers for all the work you're doing on the YouTube channel. And today we're going to leave you with a piece of music by an Irish female artist.
All right, cool. So we're about to play the song for you. Her name is Nymph, N-I-M-F. Oh, not like the mythical creature.
No.
N-Y-M-P-H. And I don't know any details on that mythical creature. Okay, sweet. So we're going to play a song for you. Fair warning, it's 10 minutes long.
Yeah.
So it's more like, I'm assuming this is more like a piece of art.
That's what
than
it's
a song.
like. It starts with footsteps walking through
Cool.
like a wooded area and you hear the crackling of a fire.
It's a ballad for looking into time?
That's the name of the song, yeah.
Damn, that's awesome. Okay, so here's a little bio on Nymph. We're just going to give you a little bit of information about her. She's an Irish performance artist. She was selected for Key Change 2022 as an artist and future leader, in the music industry. Her music has been picked as Dan Haggerty's The Alternative RTE2FM
Oh,
track
Dan
of the
Haggerty.
week.
He's a
You know who
radio
that is?
DJ, and RT2FM is like one of the biggest radio
Oh,
stations
she's
in
been
Ireland.
on Sirius XM. I know what that is.
Okay, cool.
The Guardian. Oh, that's like a news website, I think. She's performed in several venues across Ireland.
I think she's playing shows in Europe at the moment.
So she's blown up. She's going all over the place. She's doing really good things. She's from Ireland. Shout out to Ireland. Shout out to Nymph. Thank you for sending us your song. Cool. So it's a debut in the exploration of storytelling. So it's not like a pop song. This is a piece of art, right? This is an experience. It's set at a campfire in the forest. A transient troupe of musicians break into an original Irish folk ballad. Soon, it becomes clear that this is no ordinary ballad, one that facilitates divination by lifting the veil of time that pervades creation, an unworldly sirenoscape devoid of humanity. Making use of Irish traditional and folk music, this song begins with two things, the voice and the lute. Through sound design techniques, the listener can hear the voice walk around a campfire. Over time, these two things become so morphed and distorted, it eventually transitions into an ambient and experimental soundscape. This is the first piece in Nymph's new project, The honorocological cyranoscape. I'm very sorry, nymph, if I didn't say that right.
Okay, so
That's crazy.
For listeners, I would recommend sit back, relax,
Yeah.
close your eyes, and enjoy Nymphs, A Ballad into Time. Paddy and the Yank, we are out.
Checking out.
Peace.
Later, guys.